Okay, and we are back from some words from our sponsors, back from the commercial. And so now I have the calculator here. I'm going to turn it on. And so what we need to do is take 1/3 and have it replace x in both of these places. So the way we would write it out is we're going to say that y equals, sorry for the little bump there, y equals 3 times 1/3 squared minus 2 times 1/3. So we're having 1/3 replace both of the x's. So on the calculator, what we will type is this. I'm going to use the fraction key, 1/3, like that, and then square that, and then say minus 2, and again in parentheses I'll put 1/3. Okay, so now I press enter, and it tells me that y is going to be negative 1/3. And so now we can see that the vertex of this parabola is going to be positive 1/3 for x, negative 1/3 for y. All right, so let's move over to the next one. And we'll start by finding the axis of symmetry again. And we'll do the opposite of b over 2a. So this is the opposite of b. In this case is 6. There's an unwritten 1 right here, which is what a is. So that's 2 times 1. And for this, it looks like we're going to have negative 6 over 2. And 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Okay, so the axis of symmetry is at x equals negative 3. The y-coordinate of the vertex we're going to find by replacing negative 3, having it replace x in both of these spots. So that will be written, the written form is negative 3 squared plus 6 times negative 3, and then plus 5. So typing that in to the calculator, let's get it over here where you can see it. And let me just move this whole thing over a little bit. Okay, so this one, no fraction, so negative 3 in the parentheses, we'll square that. We'll do plus 6 times negative 3, and then we'll do plus 5, and pressing enter we get negative 4. So the vertex, the ordered pair for the vertex of this parabola would be negative 3, negative 4. Okay, moving on to C, function h. We'll do the same process. We'll take the opposite of b, which in this case is negative 7. And then we'll do 2 times negative 1/2, which is a. Okay, this is 2 times 1/2 is just 1, and we have negative divided by negative, so it's going to be positive. So x equals 7 is what we're going to get for that axis of symmetry. Since the vertex is always on the axis of symmetry, the x-coordinate for the vertex is 7. So we'll have that, that'll be our how we find our y-coordinate. So negative 1/2 times 7 squared plus 7 times 7 minus 4. So let's go back to the calculator. Let's move this over just a little. All right, so this is now negative, I'm just going to use 0.5 for 1/2. And then 7 in the parentheses, square that, plus 7 times 7 minus 4. And that turns out to be 20.5. Okay, so this vertex is at 7 and 20.5. Okay, so that was just some practice on using this equation for the axis of symmetry. I apologize for the extra noise being created by some teaching assistants upstairs. Sorry about that. Now, the next thing is to look at this example 2, where we're going to have an equation for a parabola. We're going to find and graph the axis of symmetry, and then we'll find and plot the vertex, and then we'll graph the whole thing. So here's step 1. We know how to do this. We're going to say x equals the opposite of b. In this case, b is -4. And 2 times a. In this case, a is 2. So we have -4 over +4, which I think we can say that that's going to be -1, because this is going to be 4 on the top, and this is going to be 4 on the bottom. We have one negative, it's -1. So finding the y-coordinate of the vertex is going to be 2 times -1 squared plus 4 times -1 plus 1. I don't think we need the calculator for that because this is 1 times 2. Squaring -1 is 1. That's 2 times that is 2. 4 times -1 is -4 plus 1. So we have 3 positive and 4 negative. So this is going to be -1. All right, so here was our axis of symmetry at x equals -1. I'm going to draw a dotted line at x equals -1. All right, then the next thing is that we know that the vertex is at -1, -1. Okay, that's -1 to the left, -1 down. That point is right here. Now, the y-intercept, as we learned up at the top of the page, is this number right here. So 1, +1 is the y-intercept, and there it is. Now, because of the symmetry, this axis of symmetry tells us that there's going to be another point this same distance away from the axis of symmetry on the other side at the same height. So if this one is 1 to the right of the axis of symmetry, there's got to be 1 to the left of it. So there we're going to have that. Now I also happen to know that because this has got a 2 in this place, it's a vertical stretch of 2. So instead of going over 2 and up 4 like we would normally, because 2 squared is 4, we're going to double that and go over 2 and up 8, which is going to take us up here to 7. I'm just going to give you another point to help you finish drawing this. So notice that these two are going to be the same height, 2 to the left and right of the axis of symmetry. All right, so there's our nice smooth curve. There's our y-intercept. Oh, by the way, we're supposed to talk about the domain and range. So the domain, as always, on these parabolas, all real numbers. Oh, you can't see that. There we go. And the range is the y numbers. So the range is y. All of these y numbers are greater than or equal to -1. So greater than or equal to -1. All right. That concludes page 1. You guys are going to turn. Mine had to be flipped over. So here we are on the next one. We're going to do the same sort of thing. You know what? I think I'm going to pause here and start a new segment because YouTube only allows me a certain amount at once. So we'll pick it up on the next segment.